Hi friends! I guess you are probably a bit shocked by the title, but if you watched my last Q&A, you know it's not clickbait. It's a bit hard to make this video and I don't want to badmouth anyone or the school. I just want to share my real, authentic experience. So at the start of December, I tried to quit language school. And you might ask yourself, how did we get to this point? Because I was so excited to go to language school. I did so much to prepare for it. I saved a lot of money, made a lot of sacrifices. I studied so much and took the JLPT, but let's just say things haven't been exactly the way I imagined them to be. So let's start at the beginning. When I first got into language school, I was very excited and very happy about it, but people warned me from the first day on about my homeroom teacher and I didn't want to listen to them because I wanted to keep an open mind, so I didn't really think anything of it. And also, as you may know, I continued my work here in Japan, the one I did in Germany, and 28 hours a week and school are not as compatible, I quickly realized, especially with all the vocabulary words we had to study. On top of that, we also had our first group work, and let's just say group work as an adult is as bad as group work in school because not all the people want to participate and want to have a good result in the end, and doing a group work in Japanese and presenting it in Japanese if you didn't really speak a lot of Japanese before is very stressful, of course. So let's just say stress built up very quickly and I hit my first, not breaking point, but kind of close to that in November. And I feel like you were able to see it in my homework video. Let's just say I was not in the best headspace because of all the pressure I put on myself, but also teachers put on us, and then also the fear of not being good enough at work at the same time because work and school are both mentally demanding. So I felt like I couldn't really put in the best of my effort in either of them. Also, having ADHD and being in school again didn't really work out that great. And to be honest, I didn't really think about it before because the last time I was in an actual school was 10 years ago, and of course I also went to university, but university is something different, and at least in Germany you don't really have to go to the lectures, at least not to all of them, and you can also work from home like the whole time and just teach it yourself at home if you don't enjoy going to the lectures with all of the people and stuff. So it kind of took me back to the reality of how school really is and was. Of course, I also didn't want to give up anything of the things I've been doing, and that's due to my stubbornness. So a good thing that I should have probably done was to quit doing YouTube videos, but I also didn't want to do that because I felt like it's something that brings me joy. So I still want to do that, but of course, school, work, YouTube all takes a lot of time, a lot of mental energy, and also my relationship was not doing that well. So yeah, everything just came together and a lot of bad emotions started to build up, and I kind of started to resent school and some teachers, not only my homeroom teacher but also another teacher. Sometimes I felt like the teacher liked to humiliate us and I didn't like that at all, of course. Even the first day I entered language school, the teacher was not the greatest when I did my Jiko Shokai, so my self-introduction, because I couldn't pronounce YouTube the way she wanted. She played dumb and I was just standing there in the middle of the class and I was like, but that's how you say it. Like, why does no one say they understand what I'm trying to say? And I felt very bad. And it was like the first lesson, like I didn't know anyone and it was so bad. But yeah, that teacher also liked to make us uncomfortable sometimes, and I don't feel like it's the best thing to do. And all in all, I felt like the learning environment was not something I can thrive in and I didn't really want to be in. And especially with the warning signs of the burnout approaching, because I hit my first burnout in 2023, like the end of 2023, and it was very bad back then. And now I can kind of see the warning signs and I know when it's approaching, and I was like, oh no, we're not going to do that again. There's no space or time for that now. So I took a couple days of of work and tried to come to my senses again, and it kind of helped. But then I think only a couple days later, or like 1 or 2 weeks later, our homeroom teacher had a big blow up in class, I would call it maybe. I mean, I understand why she was angry, because there are some people that don't really do their homework, they sometimes are late, they don't really try to participate in the lesson, and I get it that this is frustrating, because it's also frustrating for me if I try to do like group work with some people and they don't do anything. So I totally understand where she was coming from, but still sitting in the class and getting shouted at for 20-30 minutes felt very uncomfortable, even though I know I wasn't the one who she spoke to, but still not the best experience. And when she calmed down again, we had to formulate an interview in Keigo all together, and no one of us was really able to do it. So she made us sit in the class 30 minutes longer than we would have usually ended class, and we were just like staring at each other, and people were trying to guess answers, and either the answers were ignored. She rolled her eyes. You could see and feel that everyone felt very uncomfortable, and I just stared at the clock the whole time. I was like, oh my god, I need to get out of here because I have work. And a lot of other people felt the same, and some people were late to work because of that. And again, I feel like that's not very professional and disrespectful also towards us. And also during the shouting, she asked us, why did you came to Japan? Why did you came to language school? Think about it. And I really thought about it, and I thought, maybe I will not be able to reach my goals here, because as I told you in the last video, the Q&A video, my skills haven't progressed that well since I came here. All in all, I was just like, I don't know if it's worth the money. And I looked into our school rule book, and there it was written, if you drop out, you will get the rest of the money refunded, and also that you will have 3 more months on your student visa after you drop out, and then you have to leave the country. So I thought, oh great, then I can just drop out after the winter holidays end, so in the middle of January. I will have still 3 months on my visa, because my mom is coming at the end of March, and we will leave at the start of April to go to Thailand, and I would get my money back, at least half of the money, which is like 1,600 euros probably. So I thought, okay, I can use the money definitely more wisely than for school. And I also felt like I didn't really want to support the school when we were treated like that. And I mean, I was treated very well compared to some other students, but like all in all, I felt still not great. And I can't imagine how some of my other classmates may feel about how they get treated. So yeah, I talked to the English support staff in our school, and she kind of confirmed that I was right about the 3 months, but to get the money back, I would have to drop out at the end of December, because their booking system, or like their accounting system, works in 3 months intervals, and not like you would imagine that the semester ends after the holidays. And if I would have quit at the end of December, of course I would have to leave Japan by the end of March, but this of course doesn't work out with the flights I already have for my mom and me. So I was like, oh great, so I guess I will say goodbye to the money and still drop out, because I thought there's no point if I paid the money already, also pay with my time. And if I feel like I don't get a lot out of the school, why should I waste my time on it as well? But in order to drop out, I had to have a talk with my homeroom teacher in Japanese, of course. So I prepared a list with all of my points I wanted to talk with her about, and all of the reasons I want to go. Actually, there were quite a lot. And as I told you, I also struggled a lot with ADHD and being in a classroom that's very noisy and distracting people around me. And we talked about all of the points I wrote down, like one by one, and we had a very good conversation, actually. I think we talked for like 45-60 minutes, and she was very nice, very understanding, very friendly, and again, I really like her as a person, and I also liked her as a person before, but sometimes it doesn't really reflect in class, so that's a bit sad, because I feel like we would all be a lot more motivated and happy if we had a nice motherly homeroom teacher like she could be. But yeah, I guess that's maybe not how it works in Japan sometimes. But yeah, basically I was told that I shouldn't drop out because because if I drop out, then they can't put in a good word at immigration for me. And that would mean if I will apply for a long-term visa in the future, it might get rejected because they're like, yeah, you went to a language school and you dropped out, so you didn't put in effort or something. And yeah, it's a bit annoying because it's not that I don't want to put in the effort. It's just like the circumstances around it that doesn't really make it very enjoyable or like worthwhile doing maybe. So yeah, and I didn't want to risk that, of course, because I think someday in the future I would like to live in Japan, maybe. Not work in Japan, but maybe if I work for myself, or someday maybe the regulations change when it comes to working for another country, or like for Germany in another country, then it might be a possibility. So I wanted to keep the door open. So I didn't quit, in fact, and I was like, yeah, but what's the alternative? I mean, it doesn't work like it is now, and I was very happy because she was very nice about it, and we tried to find some alternatives. For example, I will get a new seat that's in the corner of the room where hopefully I won't hear as much. I'm also allowed to use the earplugs during the test because I wasn't sure if I was officially allowed to use them before. I just had the flare ones that aren't really earplugs, so I could still hear the senseis. Now I'm officially allowed to use earplugs, which is very nice. She also told me which books to focus on the most, and if I only have a little bit of time, like what would bring me the furthest, at least in class. And I also talked about that I was struggling a lot with remembering the vocabulary we learned because we learn so much. It will just like stay in my brain for a short time, and then half of it I will just forget after the test. And then I was very surprised actually, because the next day we had her as our teacher for the day, and she did an exercise for a whole hour where she put us in groups and we should talk about how we study vocabulary and then present it to our classmates like in a 1 or 2 minute speech. And it was very nice, like of her to include that in the class, to give everyone a good idea how they could study. She was very friendly and treated everyone quite good. So I hope talking about like all of the things that worried me or like made things uncomfortable helped everyone at the end. So we will see. And we also had the writing exercise that also kind of showed me another type of writing I could do, which was also very nice. So in the end, I feel like even though I'm still in school and I still have to continue school until the end of March, it was still worth it to talk about what I didn't like and where I had trouble. So yeah, I guess that's also a good message to you if you enter language school and you don't like certain things or you have problems. Just try to talk with someone about it, because sometimes it's easier than you might think to do some adjustments. And I really hope the adjustments we agreed on will help me to make it a bit more enjoyable in the future. But of course I also have to work on my thinking, because part of why I kind of entered the pre-burnout phase was my internal perfectionism and my feeling that I have to be the best of the best in everything I do, and I don't have to be that. But I guess it's still baggage from the past, and also baggage from untreated ADHD probably, because you wanna like mask your ways through and just seem like you have everything together all the time, even though you don't have it together at all. But yeah, perfectionism is one thing that I really wanna work towards, and I don't really know how to fix it or like how to get better at it, but I guess I will try to change my way of thinking into it's okay to be average, it's okay to not get the best grades. I don't always have to be the best, so I hope I can internalize those thoughts more. And also I decided that my goal for language school is not to, again, be the best or like have the best grades, and instead see it as a familiarization exercise. I hope that's how you say it, like getting familiar with a lot of things, so that when I encounter them again in books or somewhere else, it will be easier to recognize them and also to study them in the future. But yeah, again, I don't really know how to deal with perfectionism, so if you have any advice, any tips, what you do when you feel the pressure coming on, or how you deal with perfectionism and language learning, I would be very happy to hear about it, because I also asked ChatGPT about it and there weren't a lot of things that came out of it. So please do your girl a favor and let me know how you deal with that. Since I'm now on winter break from school, I hope to be able to relax a bit more, even though we have a lot of homework, but my goal is to get them done before Christmas. Today is the 22nd, so I still have a little bit of time left. And I also have a trip to Kusatsu Onsen planned after Christmas. So I'm very happy about that and I'm really looking forward. I hope it will help me to relax, and it will also be my first onsen experience. So very exciting. And if I can, I will try to film a little bit. So if you want to see that, please make sure to subscribe. It will probably come out sometime in January, February, because first I want to film my goal video for 2025 next. And if you want to know a bit more about my feelings for language school, you can check out the Q&A I posted 2 weeks ago. And I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye bye!